Dear friends of the Ukrainian Art Center all over the world, we are extending our special greetings to each and every one of you wherever you are, and my heart is brimming over with so much joy as we are approaching the celebration of Easter, the holiday that brings us gifts of life, light, love, spiritual revival, and peace. I'm so excited to announce the visit of an outstanding folk artist, Barbara Wetzel. She was born in the United States and she inherited this amazing tradition of Easter egg painting from her Ukrainian grandmother. And today Barbara is going to share with us the sacred knowledge of Easter egg craft passed on through generations.
Okay, so we're going to go from a plain white egg to this. Okay, so the first thing you do is you draw your lines.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, and I learned it from my grandmother. She was the last one in her family to be born in the old country. And she immigrated to Canada. And then she immigrated to Minneapolis when she was old enough. So you put on all your lines of the design that you want. I do the old designs, and this is one that is very old, very traditional. It's really not painting, although they always say it is painting. It is a wax resist technique, so that you're working with fire. You have to have fire in order to melt your wax, and this is beeswax. It's the only one that works. Now we're going to wax in our lines that we drew, because we want them to be white. We're going to work from light to dark. And all the colors and all the symbols mean something on the egg. So everything that will stay white on the egg represents purity, and these lines that meet represent everlasting life or eternity. My grandmother's family came for political reasons. They left the Ukraine for that and for hoping for a better life in Canada. And they had gone to Winnipeg, which has a large Ukrainian population. And my grandfather came over to avoid World War I. So he came over quite a bit later, and he also went to Canada. But they did not meet until they both came to Minneapolis. We've gone through lots of hardships throughout the centuries there. Pysanka is what we call them, and it's a very ancient art. They have found in graves, and they didn't have all the colors that we have nowadays. Mostly just decorated with wax, and once again it was certain symbols, and they used as talismans. They would put a symbol on this so that it could be put in the barn to protect the barn. They would put them in their houses for protection against fire. In modern days, it was if you liked a boy, you made a special one for him and gave it to him on Easter Sunday. And as through the centuries, it was pagan, and then now it is more religious in what they symbolize. Now, this is ready to go into the dye, and we start with our yellow dye.
Beautiful.
Okay, and so now I'm going to be putting on these little wavy lines here. And those wavy lines represent a barrier between good and evil. So the more that we have on there, the better. And yellow is for warmth. So we are a very warm people. And my grandmother this was something my grandmother loved, absolutely loved to do. And she always would invite people over, teach them how to make them. We used to have huge parties when we were younger. Very friendly and interesting. We're very arty people. The rest of my family is very musical. I didn't get any of that. You know, we like to surround ourselves with beauty. Now with the wax that I'm putting on, everything there will stay yellow.
Okay.
There was one legend that my grandmother absolutely loved, is that there is a horrific serpent that is chained to the side of a cliff, and if not enough Pysanka are made throughout the year, the serpent's chains become loose and he can wander around and start wreaking havoc on the world. But if we make enough of them, his chains will tighten and there will be peace in the world. And that was one of my grandmother's favorite legends. And I've got all my yellow lines on there, so now it's going to go into the orange dye.
Gotcha.
And then it comes out of the orange dye.
That's beautiful.
And it'll look like that. And then now we're going to cover what we want orange on the egg, so it's going to be the star. And the star is for the stars in the heaven. And orange is for endurance, so we will always endure.
What makes you most proud about being Ukrainian?
Just the culture, the art, it's so flamboyant, you know, we're colorful people. This is a blouse that my mother made, so I got to inherit it, and so she loved it. She loved the embroidery of the culture, and she did an awful lot of that. Into the red dye. And then this is what it will look like, and that's our final color.
Beautiful.
And then this is where the magic happens. And red is for hope. And they use the eggs because it's a symbol of rebirth, because after the long, hard winter, it was one of the first things that came back to life.
I think that's perfect. Perfect. Okay, great, great, great.
Thank you, Barbara, for coming over.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing your tremendous talent. You're really genius.
Thank you.
And we are so grateful for your contribution to development of Ukrainian Art Center and perpetuating and promoting the beauty of Ukrainian art.